This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review with your College Football Week 1 report. This is going to be a weekly segment where I will be breaking down several of the interesting matchup that have piqued my interest from a betting perspective for the upcoming college football slate. All of the games today will be taking place on Saturday, so let's get right to it. Let's start by looking at what should be a very interesting game between UCLA and Texas A&M. And from what I've read from the Texas A&M Aggies camp coming into this season opener, a lot of things to be excited about with this Texas A&M program. Of course, new quarterback this year, Oklahoma transfer Trevor Knight, who does have starting experience, a new offensive coordinator as well, Noel Mazzoni, taking over that role. From what I've read, they're looking to do a very increase the speed and tempo of this offense with Texas A&M even more, also make it more of a run-oriented, up-tempo offensive attack, something that the Aggies will be doing in order to sort of take pressure off Trevor Knight and also, make the defense respect the run so that it can open up some things and play action down the field for what is, I think, one of the best receiving cores in the country that Texas A&M has. They've got tons of weapons at receiver, even with Speedy Noyle not playing in this game. It's still a team that has plenty of targets for Trevor Knight to throw the football to. I like Texas A&M coming into the season. I think they have a chance to be an improved team, a bet-on team this season. However, I still have some hope as well for this UCLA Bruins team. I mean, they've got a new offensive coordinator, Kennedy Polamalu, but their quarterback, Josh Rosen, back. Miles Jack on defense is obviously going to be a big piece that they're going to have to replace this season. That's definitely something they're going to have to worry about, and they're definitely going to be looking to improve their stoutness along the defensive front, especially that run defense that got a little bit chewed up at times last year for UCLA. It's a very interesting game. I think I've got some hopes and positive expectations for both of these teams. I think they're both going to be solid teams this year. I actually like Texas A&M below a field goal in this game. Actually, they're up to -3 now. Still lean to Texas A&M in this particular football game, but just a lean in that category for me with this one. Let's move on now to LSU and Wisconsin. This one should be a very fascinating game taking place at Lambeau Field, so almost like a home game of sorts, even though it's a quote-unquote neutral site game for the Wisconsin Badgers. I'm not sure I'm ready to lay 10 points, 10.5 points here with LSU. I know they're getting all kinds of hype. Leonard Fournette, with his ankle sprain, but they say he's going to be ready to go. I understand that. Wisconsin certainly is a team that offensively, they don't have a ton of that I guess, game-breaking offensive talent this year. There's no Melvin Gordon on this offense this season, or a running back of that caliber, I guess, as they've had in years past. That being said, LSU going on the road, laying this kind of number in the very first game. I'll be honest, I don't have a great deal of optimism for the Wisconsin Badgers this season. I don't think they're going to have as good a year as they've maybe had in seasons past. That being said, I'd have a little bit of a difficult time laying this kind of number with LSU in this game. They still have some question marks at quarterback. Is Brandon Harris really going to be the guy that is able to get the job done for this team? The jury is still out on him. There's no question about that. And I think it's a situation where it's a really wait-and-see approach for me with this LSU Tigers team. So while I like them, while they've certainly got a chance to be a factor in the SEC West, maybe even win this division. I mean, they really have talent of that level to do it. I'm not sure I'm ready to jump on the bandwagon here of all the people that have pushed this number up from LSU as low as -8, 8.5, now all the way up to 11. Pretty much across the board. I'm not ready to jump on that boat just yet. I don't think I'm interested in the home underdog, even catching double digits here with Wisconsin. Of course, I'm calling them home underdog even though it's a neutral site because it's in Wisconsin. But LSU, to me, it's a wait-and-see approach. If I had to, I'd lay the double digits, but I'm not going to in this game. Oklahoma-Houston, what a fascinating game this should be. Sooners, early season challenge from the Houston Cougars, and it's going to be a big challenge, I think. This is going to be an interesting test for them right out of the gate. I know Baker Mayfield back. The offensive line that was very inexperienced last year has a lot more depth, talent, and experience this year. They've got a tremendous dual running back system with Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine. They're going to be very, very difficult to stop. But on the flip side, I think Houston's going to be difficult for Oklahoma's defense to stop. Oklahoma does have a better defense, but you give Tom Herman, the head coach of this Houston team, an offensive mastermind. You give him a whole summer to prepare an offensive game plan, and I think Houston is still going to be able to score some points in this game. I understand Oklahoma's defense is certainly going to be better on paper than it probably was last year, but I like this Houston offense. What can you say about Greg Ward Jr., the quarterback? He was phenomenal last year. Really a guy that was a receiver, converted from a receiver to quarterback, and look at the job Tom Herman did molding this guy not only into a good college quarterback last year, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He had a phenomenal season. He can beat you with his arm. He can beat you with his feet. He can make plays as a dual-threat quarterback, either running or throwing. He's going to be a challenge. He's going to be a handful here for Oklahoma's defense. However, Houston really does have some issues themselves on the defensive side of the football. I have some real concerns on that side of the football. They're a very green, young, inexperienced defense, especially in the secondary. That's not a place where you want to be weak going up against a very good Oklahoma quarterback and passing attack. So I really do worry about this Houston team on the defensive side of the football, especially if they wear down late in the fourth quarter. We're going to get tempo on both sides. Houston runs at a pretty fast tempo, and Oklahoma really runs their offense at a very fast tempo. Is there going to be enough gas in that Houston tank late in the game on defense, to hang inside this number? I certainly am not laying double digits with Oklahoma here, I can tell you that. Sidewise, I'd lean to the Cougars at about plus 11.5, plus 12 in this game. I also think it's going to be a shootout. I think we're in for a track meet. In this game, over the total 67.5, 68 certainly makes some sense to me in this football game. Let's keep in mind too, with the people that money continues to trickle in leading up to kickoff here on Oklahoma. Let's keep in mind this game is being played at Reliant Stadium, home of the Houston Texans. So it's a neutral site, quote unquote, but this is as close to a home game as you could ask for the Houston Cougars. It's just down the road from their campus. So I'd be a little bit worried about laying this kind of number. And what do we say about big game Bob Stoops as the head coach of this team? When Oklahoma is predicted to be a very, very good team, that's sometimes when they fall flat and fall short of expectations. When they're not expected to do as much, that's usually when they surprise and turn out to play better than people think. Lots of expectations on Oklahoma to win the Big 12, to be in the college football playoff, to maybe win the national championship this year. I'm not ready to lay doubles with Oklahoma. Let's put it that way. We'll lean Houston, lean over the total as well in that game. SC Bama taking place on Saturday night. We got to talk about this game. I'm concerned for USC. I think they've got some issues coming into the season. New quarterback. Of course, Cody Kessler gone. Max Brown taking over under center for the Trojans this season. New head coach, too. I actually think Clay Helton, a pretty good quarterback, or a pretty good coach, rather, and did a good job in an interim role last year. But now you got a game plan for Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide, and it's hard to imagine there not being at least somewhat of a coaching edge here to Nick Saban. All the years he's been doing that. Alabama, by the way, has a tremendous track record in these season openers. They've been very, very tough to beat, been very good straight up, very good against the spread in these season openers. And, for this USC team, depth is a concern. Defense is a concern. They do have some playmakers on offense, but the offensive line, still a little bit of a concern for this team coming into the season. On defense as well, it wasn't a great defensive team by any stretch of the imagination. Now, the good news is Alabama, they do have some uncertainty on offense coming into this season. They look like they're going to. Nick Saban hasn't mentioned much about it. He hasn't given much away, but he's hinted at the fact he's going to play two quarterbacks in this game, Cooper Bateman and redshirt freshman Blake Barnett. They were battling for the starting quarterback job leading up to this game. So it looks like both of these guys going to play. Nevertheless, I think it's going to be very, very tough for USC to score points in this game. I agree with the total movement in this game, down from 54.5 to 53, 52.5. I would lean under the total in this game. I would also lean Alabama laying the points. Now, Alabama laying 11.5 and the under 52.5, those aren't necessarily correlated, but I could see an Alabama win in the 28 to 10 range, something like that. That seems very plausible to be that kind of final score in this game. So I can't look toward USC. I'm anti-USC right now. unless they do something that surprises me. I'll be looking to bet against USC this season. Alabama on the flip side, their track record in these openers is good. I can only look to Alabama as the favorite there. Also, the money move toward the unders in this game makes a little bit of sense to me as well. All right, let's wrap it up with Clemson and Auburn, another one of the big marquee matchups taking place on Saturday. From what I've read from the Auburn beat writers, Shaun White, the quarterback, not necessarily the best choice for the starting quarterback, but because there's guys with bigger upside and talent, but Shaun White was apparently the guy that made the least mistakes in camp. Everybody seems to be saying that follows this Auburn program, this offense still a work in progress. That's a concern here because, you're going up against Clemson, I think, who should have one of, if not the best offense in the country this season. Deshaun Watson, they're loaded. They've got tons of skill position, running backs, wide receivers returning, offensive line looks great. This is going to be a tough Clemson offense to stop. So if Auburn isn't able to put some points on the board here, with Shaun White and an Auburn offense that has apparently not looked so sharp in camp coming into this game, that could be a concern for them. The good news is for Auburn's offense, Clemson's defense does have some concerns. They've only got 4 or 5 returning starters on that side of the football coming into this season. But the concern for me is there's still a lot of guys that last year got playing time in blowout situations for Clemson on defense. And even though they're not listed as returning starters, they've got playing experience, and in some cases significant playing experience. So I think they've got more experience on defense than maybe the returning starters number would indicate. So I still think Clemson's defense is going to be very good this season. Maybe not quite on the level of last year, but you have to remember Brett Venables, a great coordinator, has done a great job with that team on that side of the football. And I think even if they do get off to a slow start, this season on defense, they're going to be a good defense as the season progresses. I was initially leaning over the total, but these reports about the Auburn offense struggling a little bit in camp sort of taken me out of that opinion, out of that stance, and the total's gone up to about 62.5 in this game. And as the number comes down, if I can get a flat -7 across the board with Clemson, I would certainly look in that direction. I don't like to lay points against an SEC team catching points at home very often, but do have some concerns with Auburn heading into this first game of the season. All right, we're going to wrap this college football week 1 report video up with my play of the week. We're going to do it very similar to what I do with my CFL videos right now. We're going to give you one play of the week. We're going to go to a smaller game on the slate, I guess you could say, smaller conference. We've got a Mountain West team versus an American Athletic team in this game, San Jose State, Tulsa. We're going to lay -5 here with Tulsa. Year number 2 of the Philip Montgomery coaching regime. I think they're going to be an improved team, and following last year's 6-7 season, the program was a disaster. When Bill Blankenship was there, he did a terrible job, drove that team into the ditch. But Philip Montgomery, first year on the job, went from 2-10 to 6-6. They went to a bowl game last year as well and gave Virginia Tech, if you can remember, everything they could handle in that wild shootout. Dane Evans, senior quarterback, I think he's going to do a great job. 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 4 starters back on the offensive line. I think they're going to be able to move the football, and their defense should be better. It can't be any worse. It was a very bad defense, but the defensive line returns 3 starters. Linebacking core has increased depth. That's definitely good. And their secondary has 6 of their top 8 returning. And it was a very bad secondary last year, 113th in the country. I think there's only one way to go but up for that Tulsa defense, especially in the defensive backfield. San Jose State, I've got some concerns with them. I like their quarterback, senior quarterback Kenny Potter, but they lose Tyler Ervin, a do-it-all kind of guy at running back for that offense. He was so important to them. Usually I don't overreact to running back departures, but he was such a huge be-all, end-all component of that offense. I think they're going to struggle a bit to move the football without him. And on defense, there's definitely some concerns with them, especially in the secondary entering the season. They've got some new faces back there, and that's not exactly where you want to have some weakness when you've got a pretty good Tulsa passing attack, a team that likes to throw the football, a very good senior quarterback, and Dane Evans at the controls. So I think it could be a little bit of a struggle against the pass for this San Jose State defense in this game. And it is worth noting, last year, San Jose State lost both of their September road games by 2 touchdowns or more, didn't get off to a great start on the road in the first month of the season. I think they could be in for more road woes to begin this year. I'm going to lay -5 with Tulsa. That's your college football week 1 play of the week. Tulsa, -5 over San Jose State. game rotation number 188, Tulsa -5. Your college football week 1 play of the week. All right, that's my college football week 1 report. We'll be back next Thursday to look at week 2. I'm sports handicapper Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, and until next time, enjoy the games and good luck.
Do your research before you bet. Check out our ratings guide to see which books have the best ratings and sign-up bonuses. Open up several accounts and shop for lines at sbrodds.com. Always be ahead of the game.